Hello students. Today I'm going to discuss about one of the very important topic of managerial economics, that is demand analysis. And under this topic I'm going to discuss about its meaning, determinants, the law of demand, assumptions and exceptions. Demand means an effective desire which is backed by the ability to pay, that is the purchasing power, and the willingness to pay for it. So here, demand is desire with ability to pay and willingness to spend. Demand is a relative concept. It is always related to price, time, and place. The demand for product refers to the amount of it which will be bought per unit of time at a particular price. Now, the demand can be individual demand or a market demand. Individual demand is the demand for a commodity from the individual point of view. It is a single consuming entity's demand. And market demand for a product is the total demand of all the individual buyers at a given price over a given period of time. Now, there are different factors which influence demand, which are the determinants of demand. So first, I'm going to discuss about the factors influencing individual demand. The first and the foremost important factor is the price of the product. Higher the price of a commodity, the lower the quantity demand, and the lower the price, the higher the quantity demand. The next factor is the price of the related goods. Now, the goods can be substitute goods or complementary goods. The substitute goods are those goods which satisfy similar wants, such as tea, coffee. So here, if the price of one rises, its demand will fall, but the demand of the substitute product will rise because the consumers of the other product will shift their demand to the substitute product. And in case of complementary goods, which are jointly demanded. So here, if the price of one complementary product rises, which will lead to a fall in its demand, so will the demand for the other complementary product, like car and petrol, and or even bread and butter, or the tea and sugar, all this. The third important factor is the income of the consumer. A rise in the consumer's income increases the demand for a product, and the fall in his income reduces it. The next factor is the taste and preferences. When there is a change in fashion, its demand will rise even with no change in price. Then there is consumer expectation. A consumer expectation about the future changes in the price of a given product will also affect its demand. When the consumer expects that the price will fall in future, he will tend to buy less at a current price even if it is low. Similarly, the opposite can happen. If the consumer expects its price to rise in future, he will tend to buy more at present. Now, there are many other factors which influence the market demand, like the number of buyers in the market and the growth of population. With the increase in population, the number of buyers increases and the demand for necessities and other goods also increases. Similarly, the climate and weather condition influences demand, as with the change in season, with the change in weather, the demand for different commodities also changes. Customs and traditions also influence the market demand, like during different festivals, the different demand for certain product increases. So in the case of the products which are in fashion. And also we can say the advertisement has a very important factor influencing market demand. Advertising and the promotional campaigns changes the consumer taste and preference for a certain product, and here we can see an increase in the demand for that. There are many more factors which also influences demand. So we will discuss this in detail in our regular classes. Now let's try to find out what the law of demand is about. The law of demand states that other things remaining constant, higher the price of a commodity, the smaller is the quantity demanded, and lower the price, the larger the quantity demanded. So there is an inverse relationship between price and the quantity demand. Now this law of demand we can express with the help of a demand schedule and the demand curve. The demand schedule is a table representation of a total quantity of goods demanded with its certain prices. And the demand curve depicts the inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. So here in this demand curve, on the x-axis we have taken the quantity x, and on the y-axis the price of it. So with the decrease in the price, the quantity demand increases, showing a downward sloping demand curve. The law of demand is based on certain important assumptions, like there is no change in the consumer income, there is no change in the price of related goods, the consumer preferences remain constant, there is no change in fashion, the advertisement effect is not there. So that means the law of demand operates if these conditions are fulfilled. If there is a change even in one of these conditions, it will stop operating. Similarly, there are also certain exceptions. That means there are certain circumstances where a consumer buys more with the increase in price, where the law of demand do not operate. So I've given you some examples of it, like in case of giffen goods or inferior goods. In case of inferior goods, it is observed that when the people buy that product where their income is less, but with the fall in the price of these products, the people will shift their demand to a better or a superior quality of product. Similarly, the article of snob apple, or what we call the status symbol. The consumer of these products purchase it as the prestige value attached to them. So, even with the increase in price, their demand increases. There may be a case that in case of speculation, also the law of demand does not apply, as the consumer tend to purchase more at a higher price, expecting that the prices to rise in future further. So, in case of a sudden scarcity of certain essential goods, even with the increase in their prices, the demand rises. The same can be in the case of highly essential life-saving medicines, where the price of the product do not affect its demand. So there can be some ignorance effect. So which all we can say, in these circumstances, the law of demand does not work. So class, so that's all in today's demand analysis concept. Thank you for watching this video.